Hey, welcome back, and we're now at part 2 of this week's new comics, bitches! So let's continue on. So segueing from my previous tirade about Fear itself, we have The Fearless, #1. We've got a host of writers on this and artists. We've got Colin Bunn, we've got Matt Fraction, we've got Chris Yost, we've got Mark Bagley, and so on and so forth, and Paul Pelletier, and this is basically it's a lot of it is told, interestingly enough, from Valkyrie's point of view, kind of a very non-player in the whole big battle, as far as Fear itself is concerned. But it goes back to, it starts in, World War II. She is on a battlefield with a lot of dead soldiers. There's a snow worm. It's basically the Thule Society. Basically, Hitler's kind of underground, his occult body. And then, of course, it cuts to today. Just about everything's in ruins, and it's kind of post discussion of the events of Fear itself, and we have and then we have Crossbones, who is trying to basically get the locations of the all the other hammers, so that Sin can get her hands back on one again. And then we're back to Valkyrie, who is, trying to, basically she wants something, basically wants to, take the hammers back to Asgard, and ends up fighting War Machine to do so. Kind of an interesting concept. Ultimately, her point of view is that, these hammers will continue to be sought out and sought after and wanted and desired and so on and so forth. So it's kind of an interesting start to this series. I'm hoping that it goes in a different direction than what we saw in Fear itself. Because this is, I think, I hope, well, could very well be at least the final kind of tie-in to Fear itself. But this is going to last for another year, because it's 12 issues. So it'll be interesting to see how this takes up the slack. Again, it's kind of, it's kind of marginal. But, it seems like a pretty interesting start. I liked the idea at first that it was going to be kind of Secret Avengers-centric, but I'm sure that a lot more people are going to get involved by the time that this is done. And I like the fact that, it's kind of bringing Valkyrie more to the forefront, as opposed to just her, now since she's the only kind of Asgardian left on Earth. Well, not the only Asgardian, because in Fear itself, a lot of Asgardians were plopped on Earth. So, whatever. I mean, I'm still kind of reeling from confusion from everything that happened in fucking Fear itself, so this one had me kind of confused as well. So, I guess that's, that may be my problem, or it, if I can't figure it out, though, I figure there's something kind of wrong, because I know comic books pretty well, and at least I like to think I do, and that's why I do this. So when a comic book tale is told that's so kind of like scattered and confusing, I'm just not really sure what to do next, what to think about it. But, I'm going to stick with The Fearless, see where it brings me, and see where it brings the audience. So you'll hear more of my thoughts on that as further issues make themselves known. Okay, let's talk some... a really interesting comic that I downloaded this week, which is Cold War, #1. Is John Byrne. He's been missing. He's been out of the spotlight for a while. and this is from IDW, and it's basically what if it's kind of like what if John Byrne got a very James Bondish type of idea going, and just fucking ran with it, which is what he does here. He gets this, and it takes place during the Cold War era, of the 60s, or the main Cold War era, I should say, of the 60s, and we've got this secret this British secret agent, Michael Swan. The first several pages of the book are entirely dialogue free. And they're just wordless, I should say. There's no inner monologue, there's nothing going on, it's just the pictures telling the story, and that's glorious. John Byrne's art is as good as it's ever been, and Michael Swan is definitely a badass, but he does let himself get captured. Well, not let himself get captured, on the wrong side of the wall in East Berlin, and he quits his job, so to speak, at working for the British government. At least it seems that way. But then pick up 2 years later, he seems to be kind of working for it again. He is, definitely a chick magnet, and he's trying to stop the potential defection of one of Britain's top scientists. And there's the scientist's daughter, who's of course a beautiful woman, and so it's James Bond. It's very James Bond fun. There's nothing that seems too heavy about this. It just seems to be very kind of breezy, throwback fun, and that's terrific. I loved this issue. I thought it was great. And I'm really looking forward to more Cold War here. Birds of Prey. I thought I'd give this one another shot, because I like Dwayne Swarzynski as a writer. But ultimately, there's too many unknown quantities of what's going on here. I don't know why Dinah is wanted for murder. I don't know who Starling is. And Katana joining the group, obviously she's dealing with issues of her own, that, she feels that her dead husband is in the sword that she wields and ultimately is very lethal with. That doesn't really seem to bother Black Canary. I think that it should. The fact that a lot of people are kind of dying around her, that they're killing a lot of people. But, well, I don't know if this is supposed to be a new adaptation. Again, I don't know where this is picking up from. So that's my thing. However, I do like... the one thing I did like about it is Poison Ivy's kind of fall look. It's her fall fashion, because she's very kind of the fall colors. Very orange. She's not green. She's kind of very orange and brown, and it's just kind of a cool look for her. I did enjoy that, but other than that, it didn't really do anything for me. Catwoman #2. Obviously, coming off of the controversy surrounding it in the first issue, it jumps right in with both feet, and and it begins with exactly where it left off. It is Batman and Catwoman having sex. And sex with Batman must be really good, because Catwoman really seems to be enjoying herself. Or sex with Catwoman must be really good. And her kind of playing one side against the other as far as the Russian mobsters, kind of getting a payback thing. And of course, her running into Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne knows that this young blonde woman, this woman wearing a blonde wig, is indeed Catwoman, and he wants to try and figure out what the hell she's doing. And of course, he's acting all Bruce Wayne, kind of, arrogant, cocky, wearing the Bruce Wayne persona very well. And it ends with a rather horrific death and a new villain, which kind of came out of nowhere. Was a little taken aback by kind of how brutal this issue was once it got to the very end. But that's the thing. I still enjoyed it. Thought it was a good read. I like this kind of desperate attachment that these two kind of very lonely outsiders have with one another, that they just cannot deny how attracted they are to one another. I mean, that seems to be, to me, is the most interesting part of the book. And I almost kind of wish that the book was almost exclusively about Catwoman and Batman's relationship. But that's not going to happen because Catwoman is too important of a character to be marginalized by just being defined as, okay, well, who is she dating? She's still a strong character. I don't really see the problem in exploring her sexuality and her needs. She's human, and she definitely has a thing for Batman. Batman definitely has a thing for her. There's nothing wrong with this, in my opinion. I'm going to continue to get this book, and hopefully I'm going to continue to enjoy it, because I think it's a solid read. Okay, moving along. We'll go to Justice League number 2. This is kind of more of the meet cute, fight cute amongst the future leaguers here. As you can tell by this cover, we've got Batman is getting kind of pummeled by Superman, and Green Lantern's trying to break the whole thing up. Beautiful art, as per usual, by Jim Lee. Some really dynamic splash pages, and just really dynamic work overall. Of course, now the Flash comes in, so we have a new player on the field. And this new Flash seems to be kind of a wanted man. He's basically all of the superheroes in this particular reboot of the universe all seem to be very looked down upon. They're not figures of to inspire hope. They always just inspire dread and fear. That people, or whoever these people are, they have way too much power. Again, it's the dark side of the heroes. And again, like I said, it's kind of meet cute, fight cute, and then all of a sudden it's like, wait, this is a big misunderstanding. Let's all just chill out and figure out what the hell is going on here. But ultimately, this whole book so far seems to be the main story, as far as the emotional attachment that we're supposed to have in this book, is to Vic Stone, is to Cyborg, because we're finding out, because he's the only unknown quantity to this book. We're all thinking to ourselves, okay, well, there's Batman, there's Superman, there's Wonder Woman, there's the Flash, there's the Green Lantern, there's Aquaman. What the hell is Cyborg doing on this team? This team. He was a Teen Titan. So it's really going to explore more than anything, as far as from an emotional arc standpoint. How does this person get on this team? How does he become a leaguer? And that in itself is just not interesting enough. This is better than the first issue. I will definitely give you that. It is much better than the first issue, but it's still not enough. It doesn't draw me in emotionally enough to be connected to Vic Stone, because it's just kind of a poor me type of thing. I'm ignored by my father, who's working all these long hours and everything like that. And, football is really important to me, so on and so forth. Boom, explosion, now I have to be fixed. We can rebuild him, so on and so forth. And that will segue into my next segment. So, Justice League, again, not so good, but definitely better than the first issue. So, stay tuned, we'll be right back.